When we started writing our thoughts down on paper, it opened up endless possibilities. Ideas could grow beyond the borders of the mind, and it changed the world. Somewhere along the way, we lost touch with paper, distracted by devices made for every purpose except for thinking and focus. On edge, waiting for the next notification. But what if new technology didn't pull us away from paper, but brought us closer to it? Listen. That's not paper. It's the sound of the new Remarkable Paper Pro, rewriting the future. A paper tablet with a true color ink display, gentle reading light, and unheard of tactility. With digital features for taking notes, thinking, and organizing, without any distractions. Paper is about to change the world again. Get your paper tablet at remarkable.com today.
You are about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. 1-877-DOC-DALI. So apparently some of you are bringing up my name in an argument with your spouse. Well, Dr. Daliah suggests this. I get very nervous. Do not want any half of a partnership getting a little upset that I said this, and people are using that as an argument to sway their side of things. But it happens. And so one of my listeners, it's a long-winded email, but it's a good email. I'm not going to read it to you. But basically what's going on is he and his wife have a disagreement about sports where they have a son. Dad wants to put him in football, baseball, try to alternate or with the seasons, overlay that, keep him in sports year-round. Mom is not buying it, not interested in it, worried about injuries. So how do I feel about sports? What did I do? Because I have two sons. So here's the thing. It does kind of depend on the sport. But my boys, they played baseball, soccer, taekwondo, swim, and football. One played football, I think, more than the other. And I was a huge fan of sports, one, because, I liked them as a kid. Okay, that's just the kind of girl I was. But a big thing for me was sports. Now, again, it depends on the type of sport, because I don't want kids getting injured. And I understand that football could cause some really devastating concussions. And that's one of the reasons why my son doesn't play football anymore, because I didn't want him getting hurt. But I love the idea of if a child has athletic aptitude and that child wants to do sports, to let them. And there's tons of opportunities. And one of the biggest benefits I noticed is my kids were getting to an age where they're like, oh my gosh, with mom and dad, it's always no, no, no. Gosh, all the other adults are nice, although some of their teachers they didn't like. And then they got a coach. And the very first day, they had a coach. And that coach was like, give me 10 burpees. Or now you're running around the backstops. Or 20 push-ups now. Because my kids were younger, so they didn't have to do 100 push-ups. They came home that day, Mommy, I love you, Mommy. I'm like, you see, I'm not so bad, am I? No, gosh. The coach made us do this, and when I asked him something, he wouldn't let me answer. Then he did this. Well, he's tough. I go, do you want to quit? No. I'm like, good. Don't quit. Did you get hurt? Not really. Good. Keep it up. And so you learn a lot. A lot of us might helicopter our kids and, helicopter parent and bubble them in and they need to see what the outside world is like. They need to see how other people coach, other people lead. They also need to be a part of a team. I understand that with COVID, everybody gets to work from home these days. But no, you need to know how to work, with other individuals. You need to know how to compensate where somebody on your team is weak. You need to understand that you contribute something. And you might not be good at everything. They're superstars. And they're superstars where they could run, they could play first base, shortstop, pitch, be the catcher. There are superstars out there. But there are some individuals where they're like, you know what? This is where I'm good. And they need that confidence. And sports allows that. My parents wouldn't let me be in sports. It was all about the academics. And they thought that if I wasn't sports, it would hurt my academics. And they just didn't want to spend the money because sports are expensive. You have to buy the uniform. They didn't have the money. And they gave me every excuse in the book. And I went to 12 schools, so it was really hard. And one of the schools, I just started to work with the varsity track coach. And I wanted to be varsity track, but then my parents moved again. I went to 4 high schools, 8 grade schools. So they just kept moving. Basically, my father gambled, so when he would lose money, may he rest in peace. I love my father, but every time he lost money, they had to move to a cheaper place. Then he would gain some money back, then want to move to a better place, and then, so this back and forth kept happening. But I really, I can work with people, so luckily I didn't need that. I'm already very extroverted, and I would play on the playground and be a part of any kickball team that wanted me, but because kickball was a big thing growing up. Also, this game butts up. Tetherball I didn't like because I would really hurt my arm because you had to stop it and that you'd get rope burn. But I did what I could. So I think that's important. Now, how do you deal with the debate in a marriage or in terms of parenting? And because your kid will get hurt in sports. They're going to have to slide. They're going to get, road burn. They're going to get, shoulder pain. They're going to get, and that is scary. You don't want your child getting hurt. But what you have to do is weigh the risks and the benefits. If that child is getting exercise, if that child is going to maintain a great body weight, if that child is going to improve their body image, that might be healthier than a child sitting at home in your basement playing video games and gaining 70 pounds. So you have to, and you do have to have an open conversation. Nobody wants their child getting a concussion. Nobody wants their child. I have a child that really, really hurt his knee, has already had 1 surgery. It's not enough, has to have more surgery, or he just has to live with knee dislocations. That sucks. Now, that actually happened at a trampoline birthday party, not sports. Those trampoline places are pretty darn dangerous. So, you got to weigh the benefits and the risks. And, if you don't want your child in a contact sport, then do swimming. There's a lot of sports where you can minimize some of the injuries. And schools are already starting to minimize football, like flag football. But, my favorite part of my day was playing sports, even if it was on recess. So see what your kid wants and what he needs or she needs. 1-877-Daliah.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now to answer your questions for free. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell our listeners who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me join you to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now and find out how much your case is potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. If you think you deserve compensation, call now to find out how much you qualify for. 800-710-5100.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
At Hotshot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Hotshot Secret Stiction Eliminator.
Stiction, that sticky friction, undermines the performance of diesel engines. Third-party ASTM testing verifies that Stiction Eliminator removes 2 times as much stiction than any alternative on the retail shelf. Stiction Eliminator is formulated to be left in the engine oil. It works as you drive.
Available at truck stops, Tractor Supply, O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and online at HotShotSecret.com. Hotshot Secret. Powered by science.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to TotalWellness.com. Supplements made for physicians only now available to you too. TotalWellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Dali, 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So when I go and order a Happy Meal, right, it's because there's supposed to be a little toy in there. Right? You order a kid's meal like Burger King. It's usually, I guess, a little toy or something. I haven't done that in a while because my kids are grown up. But apparently, there was a Happy Meal or a kid's meal that was a little bit too happy when a mom found marijuana in the food. According to WDTN, she was given marijuana at a local Burger King drive-thru. She posted the video on TikTok. She goes by Janabama. She bought chicken fries for her kids in Hamilton, Ohio. She claims the marijuana was also unexpectedly included in her order, as she goes on to display a bag with traces inside and then shows the marijuana itself, right, on this plate or bowl that housed the chicken fries. You know, with chicken fries, I would just rather a kid learn to eat chicken and, you know, like the way chicken is, but I get it, bones and all that, but, you know, you could cut it up into pieces, but yeah, anyway. So I kind of have a thing about how we're teaching kids how to eat foods that are fake foods. You know, that's really not how chicken comes. Chicken doesn't come as a fry. But anyway, so she showed everybody, and, you know, I understand on TikTok people make a lot of money and they could get a lot of likes. And so, you know, we have to verify a lot of these things. Excuse me. But people are thinking this is really true, that there was marijuana in the food. She said, we contacted the franchisee of this restaurant immediately upon learning of this incident and can confirm that the employee in question has been terminated. We were very disappointed to learn of the incident, according to Burger King. Burger King says, and do not take incidents that put our guests in danger lightly. So that sounds pretty, you know, that sounds, you know, pretty legit then. There was also, according to Retail Wire, a mix-up with somebody's taco. Burger King, or BK now they call it, although I don't understand when everybody says BK, you know, I want BK, or is it that they're filing for BK means bankruptcy, I thought. But anyway, so BK, apparently in December, there was an Instagram blogger, Marky Devo, revealed that I guess there are something called crispy tacos, and the tacos are supposed to have seasoned beef and American cheese and whatever. And then somebody had chicken nuggets in one. And you know what? I don't really care about all these things, you know, but if there's people working half-assed and they're not doing their job, I know some people are giggling about this, going, all right, well, he dropped his weed. Well, what else are they doing with the food? Are they wiping their nose and not washing their hands? Are they not washing their hands after they're using the bathroom? When I worked at Jack in the Box, and I think everybody Now, mind you, I wasn't a teenager. I needed to support myself. So I was in college and I didn't have a car, and there was a Jack in the Box across from the university. So I worked there. And I was grateful, absolutely grateful, because they could work with my school hours. And I was able to, at least, with $4 an hour or $4.15 an hour, whatever I made, I was able to still, make ends meet. Although I did work a bunch of additional part-time jobs like tutoring and all that. Because if I had an hour or two between class, I could at least tutor for an hour. So I would try to fill in gaps with whatever I could do. But when I worked there, there was a work ethic that everybody had. I remember there was a couple people that were goofing off, but the money has to be exact. The change has to be exact. The sandwich needs to be folded properly so that it doesn't get cold or leak. The proper bag needs to be used. The cheese and meat and lettuce and tomato have to be of a certain order. And I remember during training, I was training with somebody else and they were joking about this and how ridiculous this was. But there's a reason for that. And maybe it's safety. Maybe it's, we need to make sure that this patty heats properly to a certain degree, because you don't want to because it's frozen meat. You'd go into the freezer, you'd get the patty, and then you would throw it. Oh, I worked at Jack in the Box. I said Jack in the Box, right? You throw the patty onto the grill, and you need to double check and make sure you weren't putting something that wasn't cooked correctly. So if you don't have work ethic, somebody could die. And I understand people say it's just fast food, but it's fast food. You are assuming that whoever is working there and giving something that your child is going to ingest and have in their body is 100% safe. No plastic pieces, no foil, no hair. And the work ethic has drastically changed. And I don't want to sound like a baby boomer, complaining about the youth. I'm Gen X, and I do appreciate what a lot of the Gen Zs and millennials are going through. But the one thing I am going to continue to harp on is the work ethic these days absolutely sucks. I see things so half-assed that it's embarrassing. And we're doing it to ourselves. When you buy an appliance and it poops out within a year, we bought a television that pooped out within a year. Everything we buy now is crap. It's not lasting long. And so everybody is kind of seeing the live for the day, whatever you have isn't going to last. I mean, I remember my parents talking about how when my family had to flee the Holocaust, they didn't have hardly anything of worth except their furniture, but they couldn't take the furniture and they had to leave it, because it was heavy. You can't take your furniture as you're trying to flee Nazi Germany. And the furniture now, you could have it. It's particle board. It's going to fall apart. And so, marijuana and a child accidentally ingesting marijuana, you can be hospitalized. It does have the potential to kill. I understand the average person does not die from a marijuana overdose, but we do have children hospitalized from marijuana intoxication. Really? You can't hold on to your weed? So, this isn't on Burger King. It's, staff like this is everywhere. But when you are understaffed and you can't get people to work or people don't like their job, I wanted to do such a good job because I wanted a letter of reference if I ever had to leave that job. And I wanted extra shifts and I wanted a promotion. If I said that to somebody young who's, starting out at one of these jobs, they'd look at me like I was from 1950. Every job I do, I want to bust my butt. There was a job I was in a few years back, and other people are saying, you make us look bad. And I laughed. I go, no, we're serious. Just sit in your office and just clock in, clock out. And I'm like, but there's work that needs to be done. There's things that need fixing. Don't do it. One thing I'm excited about with this Trump presidency is that's changing that attitude. He's not going to go into the office just to go to a beach in Delaware or, to get the Nobel Peace Prize after 3 weeks of just walking into, he is earning his pay. I don't even know if he's taking the salary. And he is, he's doing work. And he's also going to fire people who aren't doing work. If you're at home watching Netflix and you're not working from home and you're a federal worker, you lose your job. going to be very, very interesting because we don't really have that fear anymore. Now that it's so easy to get unemployment. I remember I was working for a restaurant who had to lay a bunch of us off because they didn't have money. And I was in medical school at the time. And so I never knew what applying for unemployment was, but everybody's like, well, let's go do that. And I never collected unemployment because when I applied for unemployment, you went to the office, you had to wait in line. They gave you a book. You had to have all the employers you were interviewing with fill out lines on that book, sign whether they were going to hire you or not. And so another restaurant hired me next day, so I didn't have to. But there was this big process you had to go through. And every week you had to show them the book, which means you had to keep going back to the unemployment office. And that was in the 90s. Now it just go online. Did you get a job? Did you try to get a job? No. Okay, here's your money. So it's easy. So if somebody doesn't get a job, they could go and get, or if they get fired, they could get unemployment. You don't have to leave the house, and you could get your unemployment. And so it's a different work ethic. Now, and it's a shame. And marijuana is so prevalent now. And I know I voted to legalize it because I wanted us to be able to study it. I wanted to free up the cops' time. I wanted to make sure we had some other alternative for pain because they were going after doctors for writing pain medication, and I knew people would be in a lot of pain. But this is flipping ridiculous. Really? How is it going into a kid's Happy Meal? Come on. 1-877 Dr. Daliah.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Daliah, 1-877 DOCDALI. Some more wildfires have started in California. One of my favorite freeways to drive down, not favorite because of traffic, but because of beauty, was the 405. It still is. And there's a Sepulveda fire that we got some good news. It has stopped moving forward. I don't know what percentage of containment it is, but they do think they are able to maintain and contain it. But the Sepulveda fire, there's a street. So when you're on the 405, whenever the 405 is really, really backed up, you would take Sepulveda Boulevard because it's to the, I think, west of it. And so that area, they along Sepulveda, they're calling it the Sepulveda fire. So it's near Interstate 405 and Sepulveda Boulevard. The fire department says it has stopped moving forward. 250 firefighters were able to jump on this very quickly and were able to keep it to only 40 acres. And the Santa Ana winds were blowing against the fire. So that was in their favor. So thank God they were able to do what they could. However, there's a fast-moving Hughes fire that ignited yesterday morning, has already taken over 10,000 acres in Los Angeles and Ventura counties. As of the time of CNN's article and update, it was only 14% contained. That's as of this morning. This is according to CAL FIRE. But the Hughes fire is north of Santa Clarita. It's in the unincorporated community of Castaic. 31,000 residents are now under evacuation orders, 23,000 under evacuation warnings as of last night due to the Hughes fire. And so, according to CAL FIRE Battalion Chief David Acuna, they said, we don't have any reports of structure damage or injuries. As we transition in the morning, we'll have a better idea of what's going on. However, the National Weather Service extended a red flag warning through Friday for most of LA and Ventura counties because of Santa Ana winds are pushing through. Not to mention the vegetation is bone dry. Still a lot of dry humidity, a lot of gusts of winds, not a lot of moisture. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. We got down into the 20s the last few days, but no precipitation, so no snow. I'm looking at Baton Rouge and Pensacola, Florida, and there's all this beautiful snow everywhere, and people are sledding down Bourbon Street in New Orleans, and here we are in Las Vegas. It's cold, but we got no precipitation. It is drier than dry, and so it's just cold, no snow. But we would have had snow if there was some sort of rain. Sadly, when it is dry, it causes dangerous fire weather conditions. So seeing tens of thousands of acres, the Palisades and Eaton fire scorched over 40,000 acres. 28 people have died since January 7th. But they say this fire now is a completely different beast. So the next thing we're worried about are mudslides and toxic debris flow. They say much of Southern California, according to CNN, is expected to get doused with desperately needed rainfall this weekend. Oh, yay, rain is coming. In fact, I'm going to be in Lake Tahoe, and they say we're going to get some snow on Saturday. So maybe because Nevada and Reno Nevada, Lake Tahoe is on the border of California. So California may be getting some badly needed rainfall. But with that, now you have, sediment, mudslide. They say the LA and San Diego areas are going to get more rain this weekend than in the last 6 months combined. A half an inch to 3/4 of an inch of rain is expected to fall from Saturday to Sunday on the burn scars of the Palisades and Eaton fires. Well, whenever there is a fire and the roots are disrupted, now you don't have things holding in the dirt. So, according to meteorologists, they say the amount of rain is actually a lot than you think, but less than what LA has seen. LA has only seen 0.03 inches of rain since October 1, far less than the 5.5 inches they average from October to January. Rain is expected this weekend, but it's going to fall on charred land. Charred land can't absorb it. And so now a lot of rain in a shorter period of time means mudslides, landslides, and shallow debris. With the loss of trees and shrubs and vegetation, remember we talked about dust bowls years ago, and how dust bowls happen when you don't have the crops. From what I remember, I wasn't around that time, but during the Great Depression, people weren't buying food. Restaurants couldn't be open. So a lot of the crops went unsold. There wasn't money to buy the crops. Many of them died. Farmers couldn't continue to then grow more. They're affected. Now you have dust and winds, and the dust bowl ensues because you don't have enough vegetation, and as well as other climate changes. Not climate change, the Biden climate change definition, but climate always changes. And, very dusty landscapes could ensue. So Godspeed. Hope everybody in the area is safe. Apparently schools have had to evacuate, even jail. A county jail in Castaic has had to be partially evacuated. 470 inmates because of this fire. So I hope they're able to make some headway. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. We're being told of an arrest of a Guatemalan illegal immigrant or illegal migrant that was arrested in Alabama, caught sexually abusing a young girl. Luis Lopez Martinez, 38 years old, was arrested by Limestone County Sheriff's deputies on January 19th after he was, quote, caught in the act of abusing a child less than 12 years old. Sexually abusing a child. What did he tell police? Did he say sorry? Any remorse? He said, it is what it is. The victim's family discovered him assaulting the girl, detained him until police arrived. Lopez Martinez gave the police a fake name, was eventually revealed to be an illegal immigrant from Guatemala. The Limestone County Sheriff's Office said Lopez Martinez confessed to the crime during the interview, saying, it is what it is. The young girl was immediately transported to a local hospital for medical evaluation and care. He is being held on a $250,000 bond, and then ICE has placed an immigration detainer on him. Now, the arrest just happened a couple days ago. So it's interesting because, if you deport them and just send them across the border, they could go on and still do other crimes and come right back. Do you detain them and keep them here and use our money to keep him out of society so he can't be assaulting and raping kids? But this is the problem. I understand there's a lot of innocent migrants that are just trying to flee dangerous conditions from countries that they're in. But you have these wolves in sheep's clothing, and they are among us, and they're not laying low. I don't understand. I do understand. They're illogical. They're mentally ill. So they will just, right near the child's family, start assaulting her. Or I don't really know what happened. Were they in a park? And did he grab her and, take her to a bush? I don't know. But she's a little girl. Not even feeling remorse. Somebody jogging on campus. Lake and Riley. Killed. And so, when you look at what's been happening, and we're seeing a lot of this, and look at Trinidad, you see pictures of them just walking around the apartment complex with their guns. They don't fear, or they didn't at the time, with Biden in charge, fear anything happening to them. They could take over the apartment complex, walk around with their guns, and this isn't your home country. We don't tolerate that here. That was the message that should have been sent from the previous administration, and now that's happening now. And it does stink that some bad apples ruin it for the rest of the bunch. I get that, but we cannot have individuals coming across this country raping or killing our kids or anybody. 1-877-Daliah.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-910-7500. That's 800-910-7500. Call now to find out how much your case could be worth.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Self-reliance. It's not a phrase we hear much in our culture these days. It might conjure up images of pioneers, the West, rifles, strapping men, and strong women. But what does it mean for us in today's world? The New American Magazine has just released its latest collector's edition, Self-Reliance, Foundation of Freedom. In it, the New American authors outline the necessity of self-reliance for a free people, tips for self-reliant living, and the importance of not giving up hope. This unique edition includes articles on the self-sufficiency of the founders, preparing for a worst-case scenario, firearms, financial self-reliance, the importance of community, and many other topics by expert writers. Now, for a limited time, the New American is offering a bundle of 3 collector's editions: Self-Reliance, The Great Reset, and Trump World for just $19.95. Available at shopjbs.org. Visit shopjbs.org today.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. 1-877-DOCDALI. So I am very intrigued and optimistic on how medical information is going to be able to be conveyed online without doctors getting censored. And when I hear the term misinformation, I cringe because what was accused as being misinformation ended up being true. When originally the COVID outbreak happened, and we were thought this came from a lab leak, if at all we suggested that, saying, look, this kind of makes sense. We're seeing people who were sick in November, December, negative for flu. This was kind of different. They were being hospitalized. The cytokine storm. No. It didn't. And then here we are with multiple government agencies saying, yep, it looks like with reasonable probability this was leaked from a lab. When we were trying to explain how the mask you need is an N95 respirator and not a lot of the half-ass type of masks, and mandating it can actually do more harm. Again, misinformation. And then they're like, actually, N95 respirators are better, but one study found you needed to air it out. There were so many chemicals on the N95 respirator that they said to leave it out for 20, 30 minutes before you use it. But then you have less sterility. And so I'm as a physician, when you use a mask, there's an art to it. Once you use it with the patient and you breathe on it and your breath has moisture on it, it's already soiled. It's not as effective. And you throw it out and you replace it after every patient. When I would, be in the OR, you wouldn't save the mask. You wouldn't save the gown. Everything got discarded after every patient. When I delivered babies, everything got thrown out. Now, I understand, disposable, you could weaken the environment by having so many disposable things, but all of a sudden, it was, no, just rewear your mask, use your mask, or just find anything. And if you don't have anything, you can't do X, Y, and Z. People didn't have access to a whole bunch of masks. You couldn't get PPE anywhere. And then trying to find masks, remember how expensive they were? So when we would try to speak about, look, this is what you need to do. It needs to be an N95 respirator mask. I think Trump had originally contracted companies to make more of these. And I don't know whatever happened after the election. So every time there was something that was brought up, saying, look, there could be side effects. Some of these vaccines could have side effects, just like medications could have side effects. Misinformation. No, it's not. Canada. Canada had to limit the Moderna shot and not allow young boys to get it because of the myocarditis risk. Why can't we talk about it? The science is evolving. Let's have discussions. We don't want somebody lying. We don't want medical misinformation of any kind. But when the truth is being labeled as misinformation, you're stuck. And a lot of doctors and people felt trapped. And that's scary. So, one of Donald Trump's first actions was to sign an executive order aimed at restoring freedom of speech and ending federal censorship. The order bans federal officials from any conduct that would unconstitutionally abridge the free speech of any American citizen and instructs the Attorney General to investigate if the Biden administration engaged in efforts to censor Americans. According to the order, it says, under the guise of combating misinformation, disinformation, malinformation, the federal government infringed on the constitutionally protected speech rights of American citizens across the United States in a manner that advanced the government's preferred narrative about significant matters of public debate. So I remember when Viagra first came out, everybody and their father wanted it. And then we heard that people were dropping. Now, we didn't have social media. So I didn't hear from people that followed me saying, hey, something's wrong. People are passing out on this. So it took a while for the word to get to the government when they said, wait a second, we need to put a warning, a black box warning on this, where if you take nitrates to lower your angina and coronary artery disease vasoconstriction, you can't be taking or lowering your blood pressure. You can't be on Viagra at the same time. So we learned something new about the drug that wasn't picked up in some of the phase 3 trials, clinical trials, but we picked it up when it was out and about. Vioxx. Vioxx was an anti-inflammatory medication around the same time as Celebrex. Yet I noticed with my patients that their blood pressures were rising. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take you off the Vioxx. I want to put you on something safer for anti-inflammatory, but I can't use Vioxx. Well, a Merck representative had come in saying, I'm noticing you're not writing it anymore and you're not using the samples. And I go, it looks like it's raising my patient's blood pressure. No, it's not. That's misleading. No, it's not. It's fine. I have the studies to prove it's fine. And he looked mad at me. And I'm like, I'm sorry. It's just, that's what I'm seeing. And my patients come first. I won't be writing Vioxx. Well, lo and behold, Vioxx taken off the market. So what was accused of misinformation was actually the truth. I remember a weight loss drug, Meridia, people were on. And my patients who were on it, again, their weight, they were blood pressure was rising. I'm like, I can't do this to you. I can't give you a weight loss medication that's going to raise your blood pressure. And eventually that was taken off the market. And so we've learned in science that when something has original studies, there might be things that happen in the future to make us reevaluate what we're doing. A lot of patients are very upset because they can't get an online prescription for Zofran, an anti-nausea medicine, because it interacts with their sertraline or Lexapro or Wellbutrin. And patients are like, but wait a second. I used to always get this years ago. Well, once the FDA was alerted to side effects and drug interactions, they had to warn people that there could be we learned that there could be serious drug interactions or serotonin syndrome, or some people could have an abnormal or an irregular heart rhythm. So we're learning as we go. That's okay. It's okay to learn as we go. But when somebody brings up something that might be future, future fact, and it's hypothesis, don't berate them. Don't censor them. Don't shut them up. Imagine, working with penicillium mold, going, wow, there's antimicrobial properties with this. People told, they're like, you've lost your mind. No. There's hypotheses. We're going to test hypotheses. That's one thing I like about science, is you don't feel dumb. And with a hypothesis, you come up with if this is, a medical fact, then, or a scientific fact, then would this work? And sometimes your experiment fails. Sometimes it doesn't. That's okay. A failed experiment is science. Looks like that doesn't work. That we need to know. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens. And I don't want somebody saying, look, if you go outside, eat dirt, you're going to be able to cure all that. No. I don't want that type of stuff. That's we don't want stupid. But if somebody's trying to warn others, say, look, I just want to let you know somebody passed out after they got an injection, be aware of this. I want to hear about that as a doctor. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH.
Did you know that healthy arteries make a gas? Yes, actually 3 known gases. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch, and nitric oxide is a gas that's readily made all day long to keep our arteries open by relaxing the blood vessel walls. By doing this, our circulation is increased, bringing blood, oxygen, and nutrients to every part of your body. Both age and poor diet can lead to a loss of this precious gas, and in turn, blood pressure can go up, energy can go down, and you can get tingling in your hands and feet. Well, our product, Ultimate Nitric Oxide, can easily help fix this lack of nitric oxide. Go to TotalWellness.com. That's TotalWellness.com, where we are helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.